to a war-ravaged world. And right now, the same warmongers are lying to us about Venezuela. And Tulsi did not equivocate. She said, hands off, Venezuela! You know, when I found out that Saudi Arabia didn't have as much oil as Venezuela, in fact, when I found out Venezuela had twice as much oil as Saudi Arabia, I knew America had to bring their people some democracy. I was like, how much oil do they have? I bet their leader's a dictator. What's all our oil doing underneath your land? All right, well, so what's going to happen today is we're going to have a few speakers come out and tell you why they are supporting Tulsi Gabbard, and then Tulsi's going to come out and she's going to talk to us for about 10 to 20 minutes, and then she's going to take your questions for 10 to 20 minutes. Okay? And if there's time, we'll take pictures afterwards. But right now, I want to introduce a representative of the First Unitarian Church. This is this church right here, and he's going to come out and say a few words. Ben Decker is here. Ben, are you here?
Is this working? Yeah. I was told you to work. Thank you all for being here so much. On behalf of the First Unitarian Universalist Church here, we're so honored and happy to be hosting not only Tulsi, but multiple presidential candidates. This is a special organization where we are democratically run. We're a religion based on tolerance, based on multiple religions. We have multiple religions that meet in this space, and our actual Sunday church services have congregants from all religions and no religions. So I'd like to offer a thank you. Yes, thank you. I'd like to offer a brief prayer just to welcome you all into our sacred space. As we come together now in shared presence, we celebrate our opportunity and our freedom and our democracy here in this space. We celebrate the history of this building, its history with the suffragette movement, the history of this building in abolition, the history of this building in the sanctuary offering that we did for the Japanese internment camp refugees. We are so grateful to be riding the momentum of all of the historical movements that have taken place in this building. In the name of all that is holy and good and true, thank you all for being here. Thank you for being active. Thank you for being a part of democracy. Amen.
Okay, thank you, Ben. Coming to the stage right now is a good friend of mine. From Occupy to Standing Rock, Jay Ponton has been a prominent grassroots political organizer. He was the co-creator of the Bank Exit campaign, which ignited billions in fossil fuel divestments. He masterminded direct actions with Jane Fonda, Susan Sarandon, and other luminaries, which received international media attention. And he was a strategist for the 2017 California Poor People's Campaign that coordinated simultaneous actions occupying Capitol buildings in 35 states where over 2,500 people were arrested to stand for climate justice, criminal justice, healthcare as a human right, homeless rights, and many other critical issues facing our nation. Please welcome Jay Ponton.
Brothers and sisters, who's excited for Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard? Put your hands together. Now, some of you may have seen in the corporate media, they're not so excited about the message of Tulsi Gabbard. Has anyone seen that? Raise your hand. Because there are people, there are interests, very powerful interests, the intersection of the corporate media, the intersection of is hard. And let me tell you a little bit about what I know about Tulsi Gabbard. In 2016, on Super Tuesday, when it was hard, Tulsi stood up. She quit her post at the DNC. She stood up when it was hard, and that was tantamount to political suicide. And then some of us got together to support the indigenous-led movement at Standing Rock. And I'm going to tell you, North Dakota is cold. You've never seen cold like North Dakota cold. But character is what happens when no one's looking. And not only after the unimaginable violence that was bestowed upon the indigenous people standing against an unjust pipeline. We didn't hear from the Washington establishment. We didn't hear from the corporate media. True. But when the veterans responded, and when Tulsi responded, they started paying attention. That is character. Let me tell you a little bit about what I know about Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard. And I'm telling you, North Dakota's cold. I have friends who are medics who their eyeballs froze, not kidding. But we built a little, when we winterized the camp, we built the Occupy Veterans for Peace camp in a little tiny shack. And I gotta tell you, when you're in a tent and you get a shack, it's great. But Tulsi Gabbard came down to be with our veterans in -15 North Dakota winter, and she did not do it for photo ops. Not gonna see that. She came down up on the little top of the stove to be with the veterans and to be with the Native veterans. Our brother Rattler, who is now a political prisoner. She came down when it was hard, not when it was easy. And so, my friends, my wish is that we come together, because we're in an age where one person has never had so much power, so much influence. And I remember the days of Occupy. And there's one thing I think that we got wrong. We said it was a leaderless movement. And my friends, my brothers and sisters, I say every one of you are a leader. Every one of you are a leader. How many followers do you have on social media? This is the first time in human history when we can communicate simultaneously with one message, and we get to evolve as a people. That's right. We get to stand up, because who wants to see Tulsi Gabbard on that debate stage? Share to social media, please. Please. And I want to put your hands together. If you want to end these useless wars, put your hands together. Put your hands together. If you want to end fossil fuel dependency, put your hands together. If you want to see Tulsi Gabbard in the White House. And everybody, I want you to stand now. Stand if you stand with her. Stand if you stand with Tulsi Gabbard. Thank you, everybody.
Great Monty. Yay! That was exciting. Okay, coming to the stage right now, you know him, you love him. He's got a great show called Mi Casa, Su Casa. It's Dingo House, ladies and gentlemen.
It's okay, you don't have to act like you've seen this show. It's cool. Yeah. People, this don't look like 1% in the polls. I said, this don't look like 1% in the polls. Maybe 10, but it don't look like 1%. about Tulsi Gabbard, like many of you, she left the DNC's vice chair position. Do you know that, like what he said, it's career suicide, it's political suicide. Many of you may not know, they drained her funding after that. Then, they tried to put different candidates against her. Then, they tried to smear her. Then, Tulsi got a strip of gray hair, and then she got back home and she's like, okay, I'm stressed, I'm good now. After that, she said, you know what? I'm going to judge my worth by the ferocity that my enemies attack me, because clearly I have something. And she does. That they are scared of. As Ponton said, they attack me because they fear the truth. When I tell you that the truth is the scariest thing that the establishment will face in this 2020 election, for Tulsi to say we must stand up to these intelligence agencies who send us to these regime change wars and tell us we are our protection. Their sons, their daughters don't die in these wars. My brothers, my sisters in arms, Tulsi's brothers, her sisters in arms, our families, our friends die in these wars. Poor people die in these wars. People of color die in these wars. The DNC doesn't die in these wars. Donald Trump is not going to die in Venezuela for oil. More brown people, more children, more money will be spent, and we still won't have Medicare for all because they're telling us we can't afford it. Having that understanding, having the discernment, having the compassion, not just for the people who live here, but the people that live abroad and can't protect them. So I have to ask you all something. I'm a black man. Some of you may be Latino, some of you may be Asian, many of you are women. I'm going to deal with racism. You know what? This administration sucks. I deal with racism. But guess what? You may deal with racism every day. You may deal with sexism every day. Bigotry every day. Question, raise your hand if you've ever worried that in the middle of the night, a mortar, a drone is going to fly over your house and bomb your home. But the truth of the matter is, the responsibility of being the President of the United States is so much deeper. You have to have a level of empathy that we have never seen in the White House. And I knew that Tulsi had this. When you all know, I interviewed her yesterday. She came up when we talked before, I was looking at me, I was telling you all this. I saw a speech of her in 2012, and it was just as powerful, but it was different. She was commanding. She was demanding. Everything that like a Debbie Wasserman Schultz would love to have as a vice chair, you know? But she's different now. She still is just as powerful, but she's more inquisitive, trying to understand your needs, trying to understand what the country needs, and is almost asking you, as she's talking to you, what do you think is best for this country? Because I want to know. And when I asked her, I'm like, what in your life changed? It had to be something. And she said, you know, it's just over the last few years, I've been peeling back all the different layers, trying to understand all these different things that I didn't understand about life, correcting all the lies that we've been told. And at that point, I was like, oh, she's real. This is a real person. This is it. This is who we need. And so for that reason, today I will be officially endorsing Tulsi Gabbard for President of the United States in 2020. Because guess what, baby? It's Tulsi time! So with that Find your ballots and vote for Tulsi Gabbard in 2012.
Okay, now coming to the stage to give her thoughts on Tulsi Gabbard is an American jazz bassist and singer. She was raised in Portland, Oregon, was a music prodigy, playing violin in the Chamber Music Society of Oregon at 5 years old. She was later both self-taught and trained on a number of instruments, including guitar and bass. Her proficiency earned her scholarships to Portland State University and the Berklee College of Music. In 2017, she was appointed professor of the practice of music at Harvard University. Please welcome Esperanza Spalding.
And its people, and this is a love that is an active love, comprised of equal parts immense belief in its potential, and a sober determination to do the work necessary to reach that potential. Like you heard, I'm a musician and a teacher, and as a performer, I'm hyper-aware of how other performers employ the strategies of performance when they want to win an audience, whether that's an audience who came for a concert, or as a teacher, your students. So in the arena of political campaigning and candidate advertising, I recognize acutely the put-on performance when they try to win the hearts and the minds of the audience, namely you, the voters. They want your vote, and they want your dollars, and they want to win you over. My mentor, Wayne Schroeder, always jokes, you go to a concert, and the singer's like, everybody put their hands up, put their hands up. This is a stick-up. And it amazes me how easily swayed an audience can seem to be when we're coming into a room investigating whether or not this person has our best interests at heart. And it can be hard to tell, right? Is this a performance? Am I being wooed by sweet sounds, by pizzazz, by spectacle? Is it the lights? Is it the costume? Are they just trying to keep their job? Are they manipulating me with their talents at singing a sad song with good words? So, I think we're all here because we're hoping, or we already believe, that Tulsi's not just trying to win us over with a rousing performance. That in fact, she's signing up to do more of what she's already done for the American people, namely saving our lives and ensuring that we survive as a people so we can continue alongside our fellow citizens the difficult and dangerous work of fighting on the front lines for justice and our shared democratic ideal. For many of us, talk of war, in fact, the concept of war in general is like a big trigger. And you may wonder, can I trust someone who's been active in the U.S. military? Now, for those of you who are veterans or active military and already know what it means to sacrifice your safety, your comfort, your home life, your peace, and your sanity to serve as a warrior for your country, it's probably really painful to hear that your sacrifice is seen as anything less than heroic. But American people are sore around the issue of military intervention because we've seen how much pain it's caused and how much danger we're still in right here at home and on the front lines that our vets have returned from. So for you vets and active military, you already know what it means for a young person to make a decision like Tulsi did, to leave her home and her family and enlist to fight for the protection of all of our homes and families. So for those of you who do know what that means, you can appreciate the depth that she speaks from when she says, and I quote, I've never done this before, I'm really nervous, sorry. And I quote, when she says, and I quote, we must end regime change wars and work to end this new Cold War and nuclear arms race because our future is at stake. And you know what she means by future. It's not just me, it's not just you, it's not just your babies, it's your grandbabies and your great-grandbabies. Because how many years do we have left to figure this out? 10, 12? Anyways. So for the rest of us who aren't vets or active military, we may be trying to reconcile this aspect of Tulsi's history, right? And find out what we're seeing. Are we actually seeing what we've been longing to see in a candidate? What we all believe we see in Tulsi? For those of us who are wondering if we can believe in this candidate, what does it mean that Tulsi was overseas? What does it mean that she was fighting for our citizen soldiers enlisted on the front lines defending democracy? It means she's ready and willing to serve alongside others who've already made the same sacrifice. And she's not afraid to dive right into the fight wherever she has to go to meet it. Right? It means I don't even have like a page somewhere. It means she's already shown just how willing she is to do everything in her power to save the citizen soldier, to help them heal and get back to the difficult and dangerous work of fighting on the front lines for justice and our shared democratic ideal. So, for those of you who may not know, this is what I'm talking about. After 9/11, Tulsi Gabbard enlisted in the U.S. military. This peace-loving Hindu woman from Hawaii enlisted in the Army. That sounds like a joke, but it's not. When this peace-loving Hindu woman from Hawaii, whose religion tells her to treat all life as sacred, when this woman saw a nation reeling from pain, from the horror and confusion gripping us all as we prepared to respond to and confront the largest attack ever carried out on Americans right here on American soil, does that sound familiar? She saw a nation reeling from this assault and scrambling to respond, scrambling to protect each other, to protect our democratic ideal, when this peace-loving Hindu woman from Hawaii saw us entering into this crucial fight for justice and protections of all Americans, she enlisted to selflessly serve all citizens. So, some of you may be wondering, yeah, I heard that. I saw that on the website. But what did she actually do? Okay, was she like in an air-conditioned trailer, like filing papers or like responding to emails? Well, she served in the field medical unit on the front lines in Iraq in 2004 to 2005. And she served in the field medical unit in Kuwait from 2008 to 2009. And she carried out her commitment to her fellow citizen soldiers. Her commitment to do everything, anything and everything within her power to save the citizen soldier's life and help the soldiers heal so they can get back to that difficult and dangerous work of fighting on the front lines for justice and our shared democratic ideal. And if their fates were altered by injury or diminished, and they couldn't fight alongside her fellow soldiers on the front line, she did everything in her power to make them safe for the long journey home. So Tulsi didn't ask if the American soldiers she served and worked alongside were Democrat, Republican, Independent, Libertarian, Christian, Catholic, Jewish, Hindu, atheist, farmer, student. She didn't ask those questions. She simply got to work doing everything in her power to save the soldier and help the soldiers heal so they could get back into the fight, fighting on the front lines for justice and our shared democratic ideal. So, to conclude, don't worry. We as citizens are already enlisted in this fight. We are on the front lines to protect, salvage, and in a lot of ways rebuild the democracy that we know, the democracy that we dream about. So when you listen to Tulsi speak and you hear her diagnosis of what must be done to heal the people and keep us strong on the front lines, equipped and capable of holding and advancing the front line of justice, when you hear her speak, keep in mind that she's speaking from experience. So this is what this peace-loving Hindu from Hawaii had already done for the American people on another front line, where the danger may have seemed more imminent in some ways, but the threat was no less imminent to our safety and security as a nation. So I want to tell you my professional opinion as a performer, as a teacher, as a citizen, looking scrupulously, looking critically at this woman who presents herself as this caring, first and foremost, about us. This candidate who's won our hearts already as she presents this diagnosis of what is endangering our well-being. I'm looking for what's really going on. She's already bringing us all this encouragement and hope that we can heal and win the dangerous battle. So, I say in my professional opinion, this is not just a performance. She's done this before. Back in 2003, she told her close friends, I'm going to enlist. I'm going to enlist. And she's telling us again. So, she's done it on the front lines in Iraq. She's done it on the front lines of Congress, serving the American people as their representative in Hawaii's 2nd Congressional District. And she's enlisting to do it again. to serve and fight for the well-being of all Americans, to serve on the front lines as our 46th President of the United States. To my fellow citizen soldiers, it is my great honor and my great privilege to introduce Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard. This is the one I'm using, right? All right. It's a beautiful day. My heart is full. Even with all of the challenges, the bad news, the vitriol that we see on Twitter and amongst the airwaves, my heart is full and I am full of hope. Because of you. Because of you. It's heartbreaking to see how our country has become so divided. How we, the people, have become so torn apart. How the vision that the founders of this country had for us, where we, the people, have the power and the ability to elect a government that is of the people, by the people, and for the people, has been so lost. Yeah. How many of you here feel like this vision has been brought to fruit today? Instead, what we are seeing is this dark shadow caused by a corruption of spirit that is ruling our land, where we have self-serving politicians, people in positions of power, greedy corporations and special interests, who are all interested in acting for themselves, leaving the rest of us behind. We see the corruptive influence of this big special interest money in politics every day, as laws are written and policies are passed that don't serve the interests of the people, because the voices of the people are not being heard, they're not being represented. So we have instead a government today that is largely of, by, and for the powerful, leaving the rest of us behind. Instead today we have a government that is largely of, by, and for big money special interests, leaving the rest of us behind. What will it take to overcome these tough odds? What will it take to overcome these sometimes seemingly insurmountable challenges? We, the people, standing together, rising up and making sure that our voices are heard, standing united in this spirit of aloha, this spirit of care and love for each other, for our country, and for our future. When we stand united, we will overcome. We will overcome. There is no
too turbulent, because there is nothing more powerful than when we stand together motivated by this spirit of aloha. There's a reason why I talk about aloha everywhere I go. Yes, I'm from Hawaii, very proudly, obviously. But it's because there is such a powerful meaning behind this word. There's a reason why we use it to greet each other, not just to say hello and goodbye, but the real meaning of aloha is I love you. I care about you. It's a recognition of our connectedness as brothers and sisters, that we are all children of God, regardless of our race, religion, ethnicity, sexual orientation, where we come from, how much money we have in our pockets, what kind of education we have. Aloha inspires us to recognize our unity, to care for each other, and then to take action because of that care. What do we do when we care for someone? We take care of them. We protect them. That is the power that lies within our hands to bring about the great change that we need to see in this country right now. It is that power of the people that is so often underestimated and minimized by the self-serving politicians and greedy corporations in Washington. They think that they hold the power in their hands to determine our future. That's right. We need to take it back. It is when we stand together, motivated by this spirit of aloha and care for one another, that we can bring about real change to fix this broken and corrupt healthcare system. That allows corporations to make money off the backs of sick people in this country. It is unacceptable. It is unacceptable that we all spend far more on healthcare in this country than any other country in the world unless we see worse outcomes. We see sick people in this country who still can't get the care that they need. That's why I support Medicare for all, and that's how I know that when we people stand up saying, I will not allow a single one of my brothers and sisters to fall sick and not get the care they need. That is how we bring about this change. When we stand united in this spirit of aloha and care for one another, we can bring about real criminal justice reform. That we can address the homeless crisis that is inflicting on so many of our friends and neighbors. People all across this country, far too many people across this country, in my home state of Hawaii, here in California, in big cities and small communities, in urban communities and rural communities, are suffering and living without a roof over their heads. We recently had a hearing in the Financial Services Committee in Congress where a woman came and told her story. A story that I know represents the story of so many whose voices are not being heard. How she was living a middle-class life. She had a home and a great job and a family, and everything was going well. She could not imagine that being homeless would be something she would ever have to think about. She got very sick. Her savings were depleted. She went through a divorce and found herself on the streets. She didn't know where to go. She didn't know if there was a shelter in her community. And she shared that what she found when she got to the shelter, there were lawyers, entrepreneurs, teachers, People who we may not think are the ones who are dealing with this, who are suffering because of this crisis. This is not someone else's problem. We must stand together to address this crisis, to deal with the high cost of living, to deal with the fact that far too many people in this country are not earning a living wage, and that we have a huge affordable housing shortage in this country. We have to take action. When we stand united, we can make bold investments in green, sustainable infrastructure to rebuild this country, to make it so that there is no person, whether it be in Flint, Michigan, or in any community in this country, that no one is being poisoned by the water that is coming out of their water. When we stand united, caring for one another and for our planet, we can take bold action to address this climate crisis that we are facing. To end these terrible fossil fuel subsidies, end our addiction on fossil fuels, and invest in green, renewable energy for generations to come. We will build partnerships with other countries, recognizing that this is not only a crisis that faces us and our future, this is a crisis that faces our entire planet. And the only way to address that is when we work with leaders of other countries, when we work with people in other countries who have this shared interest, when we build those relationships that are based on cooperation and shared interests, rather than a foreign policy that we are seeing now that is based on conflict. This is the kind of change that we can and we will bring about. This is the kind of change that allows us to overcome those obstacles that too often are set before us. And there is an issue that is central to our ability to being able to carry out this vision. Unfortunately, it's one that is not talked about often enough. And that issue is the cost of war.
That's right.
I'm a soldier. I'm a major in the Army National Guard. I've been serving now for almost 15 years and was deployed twice to the Middle East. First time in 2005 in Iraq, in a medical unit, where every day I was confronted this high cost of war. Saw who pays the price. The high human cost of war. I want to take just a moment and ask our veterans and service members who are in the room here to please rise if you are able and allow us to recognize you for your service. Fight hardest for peace. Those of us who know the cost of war will never forget our friends. Those who paid the ultimate price and never made that long trip home. We'll never forget those ceremonies that we held downrange to honor their lives. We'll never forget as we stood there and saluted their empty boots, their rifle and their empty helmet, remembering the time that we shared. Our veterans, our service members and their families pay a huge price. The people in the countries where we wage these wasteful regime change wars pay a huge price.
That's right.
These wasteful regime change wars undermine our national security. They strengthen terrorist groups like ISIS and Al-Qaeda. The thing is, and you may not realize this yourself, but every single one of us in this country wars. Every single one of us. We pay the price for these wars with the trillions of dollars that are taken out of our pockets, that go towards paying for wasteful regime change wars, towards this new Cold War with heightening tensions between the United States and nuclear-armed countries like Russia and China, and the nuclear arms race that's been brought about with things like a decision President Trump made recently to withdraw from the historic INF Treaty that Reagan negotiated with Gorbachev almost 30 years ago, that drastically reduced the numbers of nuclear weapons in the world, drastically reduced the risk of nuclear catastrophe, and here we find ourselves in a place today where we are at a greater risk of nuclear catastrophe now, today, than ever before in history. How can this be? Our leaders have failed us. Back in Hawaii, a little over a year ago, there was a major wake-up call about how real this threat is. When early, on a Saturday morning, not one unlike today, it's a beautiful day, when all of a sudden there was a text alert that was sent out from Hawaii's Civil Defense to cell phones all across the state that read, "Missile incoming. Seek shelter immediately. This is not a drill." Now we're here on a Saturday. It's still morning in Hawaii. Just imagine right now how you would feel. What would run through your mind if right now you got that message on your phone? Knowing you have just minutes to live. What do you do? Where do you go? Where are your loved ones? Where can you find safety? Where can you find shelter? It's terrifying. This is what was going through all of our minds when this happened in Hawaii just over a year ago. Families start piling all their kids in the car and driving towards the mountains to see if there was a cave that might give them shelter. Because there are no nuclear bunkers in Hawaii. We don't even have basements in Hawaii. We had a father who lowered his little 7-year-old girl down a manhole, thinking that might be the only place she would be safe. This is real. That alert turned out to be a false alarm, but we reacted in the way that we did because this threat is real. And it is not just real for the people of Hawaii. It is real for every single one of us in this country. I don't tell you this to cast a dark cloud over you. I tell you this because we have to recognize how our leaders have failed us and to know that it doesn't have to be this way. It does not have to be this way. The choice is ours to bring about the kind of change we need to see, to bring about this sea change in our foreign policy, to get our priorities straight. I'm running for president because I don't want a single one of you or your loved ones or your family or friends to have to go through what we went through in Hawaii. I don't want a single one of you to have to deal with this threat hanging over your head. I'm running for president and asking you for the opportunity to serve you as your commander-in-chief, to bring about an end to these wasteful regime change wars, to work to end this new Cold War, to end this nuclear arms race that is making us less safe, because our future is at stake. By doing this, by bringing these trillions of dollars that are going towards these wars and these weapons, we will be able to invest this peace dividend into serving the needs of the people in our communities in this country. We'll be able to make the kind of change that we know we need to see. Now we know the forces who stand against us are great. We know that people who are benefiting from the status quo, the foreign policy establishment, the military-industrial complex, they don't want to see this change. But we know that when we stand united, we will overcome. We will overcome. We will bend the arc of history away from war and towards peace. We will change the course of our future to one where we have a government that is truly of by and for the people. We will change the course of history to one that fulfills these uniquely American ideals of service above self, putting people ahead of profits, people ahead of politics, putting the well-being of our people and our planet at the forefront of the decisions that we make in this country. Real positive change. This is the change I seek to bring to the White House, to bring these values that are the heart of every soldier, of every service member, the values of service above self, back to the White House. The principles of honor and integrity and respect, back to the presidency. So that our White House becomes that beacon of light and hope and opportunity and justice and respect and equality for every single person in this country. Thank you so much.
So Tulsi's going to take 3 questions. So if you have a question, we're going to have 2 gentlemen going down the sides with microphones in their hands. So, okay. So Jay, let's get this gentleman right here with the hat right there. Let's get a question from him.
Aloha.
Aloha.
Is it okay, Congresswoman Gabbard, to call you Tulsi?
I prefer it, thank you.
Okay. Yeah. I'm sorry, I don't.
He's taking the hat and glasses off now, it's getting serious.
It's a real honor.
Thank you.
Hawaii resident Michael Brandon Parker says he has known you since you were a child and he introduced you to the RSS, a violent paramilitary in India. VJ Palat in Texas is a leader in RSS-affiliated groups in the USA, and he confirms that he met you through Michael Brandon Parker. In your first 2 terms in office, you also met the RSS spokesperson at least 3 times, and you spoke at many RSS events, including 2 in India. When did your collaboration with the RSS begin, and how much money are they giving you?
I'm a soldier, and I took an oath, one oath, in my life. That was an oath to serve and protect this country, to put my life on the line for the people of this country. Thank you very much. We stand for Aloha. We stand for diversity. We stand for peace and bringing people together around these shared ideals of freedom and opportunity for all people. Thank you everybody for standing with me in this movement for peace. question was about the Iran nuclear deal. And I was a member of Congress in the Foreign Affairs Committee, in the lead up towards that deal coming before Congress for a vote. I was pushing hard to make sure that deal was a strong one. In the interest of our country, we wanted to make sure that that deal was the best deal possible. So I asked a lot of tough questions. I raised a lot of tough concerns. When that deal was finalized and brought before the United States Congress, I supported it and voted for it, understanding that even though there were still some concerns that I had, the alternative to this deal was war, and that was not something I was willing to accept. I have been outspoken in the years since in denouncing President Trump's actions to withdraw from the Iran nuclear deal, understanding how this action undermines our national security and our ability to make similar deals with countries like North Korea. Because if we are not willing to abide by the agreements that we have, why should other countries in the world who we are seeking to denuclearize believe that we will keep that?
One more question?
Tan jacket.
Tan jacket.
We're going to try to take some pictures with you afterwards, so that's why we're going to try to keep this a little bit short.
Congresswoman, thank you for being here today.
Thank you.
I want to first commend you on your continued support of non-interventionist policy and tenacity amidst the whole Syria and Venezuela hysteria. That said, I'm 25 and I have a lot of student loans. On top of that, I paid so much for my bachelor's degree, yet I'm still severely underemployed. It seems to be that many decent paying jobs have gone disproportionately towards finance and tech. Meanwhile, educators like myself are being constantly sidelined in the job market as people are opting more and more to work in this lucrative field. So I have two questions for you. One, do you support free college and will you substantially reduce student loan debt? Two, how are you going to ensure a constant stream of quality teachers and other public servants in America?
Thank you for the service that you and teachers all across this country provide our students and our families and all of us every single day. No, it's not easy. I want to address a couple of points here as quickly as I can. My father-in-law is also a public high school teacher in Hawaii. He just turned 64 years old and he is still paying off his student loans from college. So this is a burden that is being carried by far too many people in this country across decades. It is something that we all have to seek to address. We have to seek to address it in a few ways. We have to try to deal with the high cost of education and make it so that whether it's the government or financial institutions, they are not making money off of educating our people. We have to see how we can leverage technology to be able to lower the cost of education and open up access to it, to make sure that people are able to get the kind of education that they choose, whether it be a 2-year or 4-year degree, or whether it be vocational training for people who want to enter the workforce right away. I co-sponsored the College for All bill. I think it's important as we look at, you raise many different things, it's existing student loans. It's how do we attract and retain teachers. We've got to increase how much we are paying teachers in this country. Recognize that you take so much out of your pocket to take care of kids every day. We've got to make sure that we have smaller class sizes so the kids are getting the quality education. We have to provide the investment and resources in our schools that shows we are serious about investing in our future. These are the kind